finance meeting for October the 7th. Item 2 on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from September the 22nd of this year. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion on the minutes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, item number 3 on the agenda for the chief clerk.
Okay, so welcome everybody to our finance meeting, where we have for the last few years talked about the county efforts to redress the variances between revenues and costs. One of the big keys, long-term and mid-term, for increasing revenues is economic development. And as such, the county supports CADA. And you all come every quarter, give us an update on what y'all are doing. And you're here for your, is third or fourth quarter update? Or third quarter, okay. So without further ado.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. We're going to present today just a little highlight about the strategic planning process that we've been working on in the past 18 plus months, and then relate the essence of the plan and strategic focus areas to the upcoming county grant program that is being deployed for next year's budget cycle. And then we'll end with a little bit of an update from a tourism, destination marketing, and also business marketing perspective as to how we're doing, how our current campaigns are pacing. So the economic development timeline, April 2016, I brought that together to develop some ground level planning that would help spearhead us into this planning effort that we've been involved in. That included a creation of a CADIC mission, a CADIC vision, core values, and 6 strategic focus areas, which we'll talk about here shortly. At that point, we felt there was a need for a policy and planning committee in which to do this work through. And so we put together a committee made up of several CADIC board members. It included our chamber directors, 4 chambers in the county. It included a member from the redevelopment authority, county planning department, and we also had some leadership Cumberland fellows that participated in the process with us. At that same time, we requested Penn State University, the IIT office, to help us with data and to look at the county from an economic perspective and provide us with any data that they could provide that we could use as a foundation for our planning efforts. So while they were working on that, we were working internally, we worked together, and in October 2014, we received the Penn State study, which was extremely helpful in formulating our end assessment and end plan. So from June to August, we were actually working on the plan. Mary Kuna, our staff, is the primary author of the narrative portion of the plan, supported by other staff members and certainly the Penn State study. In September of 2015, we presented the plan to our board. It was a second presentation. We actually saw it initially in August. And they approved it to be disseminated to the public and to go through a public outreach and input process. So what we're doing, I believe this is the first time any county in Pennsylvania has done it this way, and certainly it's new ground and new territory for us. We didn't really have past practice to follow on how this is done, but we've been working hand in glove with the county planning department. We are now in a public arena where for the next 45 plus days, all the municipal governments and the school districts and elected officials have been notified that there is a plan, and it is our intent that once we go through the public process, that the plan would ultimately go to the Planning Commission, which at this point is targeted to be on their agenda at their October 15th meeting. They would then ultimately recommend to you, the Board of Commissioners, that this economic development plan be incorporated and adopted into the county's comprehensive plan for the economic development chapter.
Sheree, can I just stop in there for a second? The public outreach meetings are all open to the public, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I gather, like each one of them, you're sitting in And the first one is during the day here in the morning.
Yep, and then there's 2 late afternoon
Are
meetings.
you like looking there to invite municipal, I mean, or
Yes.
what, okay.
Everybody's been invited. We've sent that out to our 5,000 plus contacts, the county.
All right.
We met on Monday with the county communications team and went through the plan and we're together, creating this outreach.
Could I ask, just in case, because I am interested in what the public has to say, is there going to be, there's going to be time for input from the
Yes,
public?
yes. We've allotted 2 hours, about a half hour of it will be us presenting the plan. And then we're going to have breakout stations where each of the strategic focus areas, there'll be a staff person, the expert on that subject, who will be positioned next to a poster board that has the details of that part of the plan, and there'll be interactive dialogue, question and answer, and also a place for people to actually, if they just want to write their comments.
Kirk's done some of those, very much
Yeah,
like that.
similar,
Silver
we're
Spring
following a
Township has
county
done that.
practice. The-
Exactly.
The only difference is we're doing a presentation and then we're gonna do,
Are you going to video the presentation?
yeah,
Okay, so it'll be up on the website.
yes.
Okay, because at times, appreciating you can't get everybody up in time, but 8 to 10 and 4 to 6,
Yeah.
a lot of people are working. I mean, a lot of the public
Okay.
are working during those
So you
hours.
take even a later time.
Well, you've got them publicized already and it's out. It would be interesting to see the attendance and if you hear, perhaps it's very convenient for everyone.
Yeah.
And maybe not, it's over the dinner hour, during a time when kids are kind of,
Sure.
trying to get to soccer and everything
We
else.
can certainly add an evening one, one 7 to 9 or 6 to 8.
Well, I'm sure your research is done that.
We can
this
certainly
is-
add another one, it's not a
But
problem.
see how it goes, and again, if attendance is great, then I'm wrong, and it, again, was probably done through studies and whatever, so
Yeah.
I'd just be interested
We
to
ran the
know.
times by with Kirk and he thought it would be all right, but we're open to,
Well, what I wanted to get at, asking about all that, was whether or not there were going to be minutes taken in case, for whatever reason,
There
I
will
can't
be-
make it to.
yes,
you know,
the
that
comments
board
will
meeting.
be captured, they won't be in minute format, but we will be recording and capturing.
And I suppose too, in response to Barb's concern, that we could, once this reaches the Board of Commissioners, we could undoubtedly hold public hearings on it as well.
So starting Monday, Monday really began our outreach. Our outreach has included media. We've met with 2 of the 3 primary publications in our area. We had 1 municipal outreach meeting yesterday, another one is planned for next week. And we will continue to circulate, this message and this presentation beyond the public meetings that have been scheduled. Public outreach meetings are 10/21, 10/22, and 11/2, and like I said, I'm happy to have another peer reading session. So why an economic development comprehensive plan? We think this dovetails nicely with the timing and the need for updating the county's comprehensive plan. This puts the Economic Development Agency, which is administering the economic development activities on behalf of the county, on the same footing. So this plan will guide all of our activity and our philosophy going into the future as administered by us. And we're happy that it will also be ultimately incorporated into the county's comprehensive plan because that ties nicely with all of the other planning activities that need to happen at a county level. So that way, all of these physical chapters that are talking about housing or green space, transportation, it's going to ensure that it's all tied together. And we believe that the economic development chapter is a key anchor to that. With the growth that we're experiencing in this county and the anticipated continued growth and the challenges that lie ahead, I think that the timing of this is perfect. So I'm going to turn it over to Jonathan.
So early in the planning process, as you know, we started in April of 2014. We really wanted to identify some very high-level goals for economic development that we wanted to put out there for Cumberland County. And Larry kind of alluded to it at the beginning here, but number one goal is to increase the commercial and industrial tax base in a smart way. And with that goal number one, I would also include capital investment and job creation. So we think as an organization, that is our number one goal, is to continue to increase the tax base, make Cumberland County a great place to live, affordable taxes, job opportunities, access to retail and healthcare. So that's our number one goal. Number two is to increase median income and opportunities for the broadest array of residents. And we think, through a lot of our different business attraction, retention, and expansion efforts, a lot of the focus there will be with creating sustainable jobs where people, have access to public transportation. They have access to all the amenities that they need to live, but that we're focusing in on what are the skill sets needed, what are the training, and what types of jobs are those that are going to translate into what we would consider sustainable employment and living. And thirdly is to maintain a diversified industry base. That's something that we continually have focused in on, and that's making sure that we're not too concentrated in one specific industry. I think we have weathered the recession fairly well compared to state and national averages, and I think number three is a big part of that. Is that we have a very diversified industry base. We want to maintain that. And we want to also continue to monitor that if we start to see that when one industry is picking up significantly or falling drastically, that we're proactive in our approach to address that. Next slide is just our focus areas. So through the board retreat, not only did we come up with a mission and a vision, but we also picked these 6 focus areas to focus on as an organization. Business attraction is something that we're already doing. Our efforts there will shift a little bit, and our strategies will shift there. Whereas we'll focus on agribusiness. We feel as though with the data that we received back from Penn State, there's some great opportunities there. From 2003 to 2014 timeframe, we've seen about a 23% increase in agribusiness. And agribusiness is somewhat broad. We feel like we have a pretty solid manufacturing base here. We know we have a good distribution, transportation base here. We know we have a very strong ag community and base here as well. So how do we better capitalize on that as a community? And that's what we really want to do with agribusiness, is to be able to support the farmer, support the manufacturer who's processing that food, and then also support the distribution of that, whether it's to restaurants or whether it's to the retail sector. So we think there's a lot of opportunity there. We've already started to see some leads in this particular industry. In 2015, we launched our marketing campaign that was focused on agribusiness in different markets. So we're starting to see some activity there. Business retention and expansion. That's where we see the majority of our expansion here in Cumberland County. To the tune of 80-85% of our growth comes from businesses that are already here. So we want to continue to support those businesses, and that can be done through workforce development, making sure that workers have the skills that they need to be successful, gainfully employed, and then also making sure our businesses, whether small businesses or medium-sized or large businesses, have the necessary capital to be successful and to grow as well, and retain their current workforce. So that's where a lot of our efforts will go there. Redevelopment and reuse. So we've started to think about several strategies which are outlined in our plan. As far as taking a look at commercial, retail, an office, an industrial space, where it's underutilized, or it's vacant, or there's some very large barrier that's keeping that property from being productive per se. So we've started to set some parameters around what that looks like. You know, we're limited on people and resources, so we can't tackle every property. So you know, we'll probably start with properties that will have the largest impact in the community, and we'll work with those municipalities. We'll work with those developers at, you know, whether the barriers are regulations, and there's something that we can do to expedite that process. Maybe it's incentives. Maybe there's it's a brownfield, so maybe there's some remediation that needs to be done. Here in the borough is a great example where there's some transportation barriers. So we're working with the borough on the tax incremental financing. So I think there's a lot of different, you know, options and tools in the toolbox per se that we could utilize on some of these sites that are underutilized or currently vacant. So first thing is that, you know, we've started to identify some properties. Senate Plaza property in East Pennsboro is a property that we're currently working on. We have some interest in. The Lemoyne Middle School is another property that's been vacant for 3 or 4 years now. And both the borough and the school district who owns the property would like to see that property be back on the tax rolls. So we've partnered with the redevelopment authority on that particular project. So as these projects come up, as these developments come up, you know, we always want to stay in front of that and see how we can be a resource to not only that municipality but to that landowner and/or developer. Funding and financing. So we'll continue to focus on our small business lending. We've started to continually see a gradual increase in activity there. We've done several funding projects, largely in and around transportation and infrastructure over the last year or two. So we'll continue down that path as well. And then visitors growth. You know, we have the brand awareness, so we're in year 3 of that rollout of Cumberland Valley, PA, and found it. So we'll continue with that. We'll also continue to support the visitor experience. So as visitors are coming into the area, whether it's group tour, business, sports related, whatever the case may be, that they know that they're here and that they know that there's things to do and to see while they're here, and hopefully you know, spend some money in the area with some of our local businesses. And lastly, with visitors growth, from a business development perspective, we're currently in the process of engaging a firm to help us identify what segment of the business group that we should be actively pursuing. So, you know, whether it's the meetings market, whether it's the sports market, whether it's the government market, we'll be going through that analysis here towards the tail end of 2015 going into 2016. The second piece of that, as we've kind of started to roll out with the business side of tourism for us, is to also be able to identify, are there key assets that we are missing as a community that could help us further our visitation to the area. So we're currently, you know, going to be looking at that as well. Are there assets that do we need more hotel rooms? Do we need more meeting space? Would it be nice for us to have a water park? You know, just kind of identifying, are there other assets that we're in position for as a community to be able to leverage to hopefully increase visitation. So that will be part of our analysis as we go into 2016. And the last one is stakeholder engagement. One of the things that we've started to focus on in the last year and a half is communicating better with our key stakeholders. The county and commissioners being one of them, hence why we're here today. So we've always, you know, we've been looking for opportunities to continue to engage our key stakeholders. We've talked with Kirk in the planning department about potentially attending more of his municipal outreach meetings. We had our first one yesterday, and I thought it was really good dialogue with some of the municipalities on different economic development issues or focus areas that they have as a municipality. So we want to continually be able to do that as we move forward.
Shareen, if you go to a website to make a hotel reservation, okay, is there an exit sort of survey on your experience? Or does that go back?
If you use our website, yes.
If we use yours?
Yes,
Okay.
there is a survey.
So have you gathered, you're talking about hiring a firm, and my question is, how much have you been able to produce in-house from the results of the surveys?
Yeah,
I mean,
our survey.
anytime you stay anywhere, you immediately get an email, how'd you like your stay?
Yeah.
But that goes back to the hotel and that franchise.
Right. No,
But does
we
it go
do
to you?
survey those that use our booking engine and those that are using the Carlisle Events website to book as well, because that's our.
So
engine.
have you,
But our survey does not say, well, what was missing? It's not asking that question. But the feedback that we get is positive. They found what they needed to find. They had a good experience. They want to come back. There was more to be done than what they thought. So they're.
do they have an opportunity to rebook immediately after that survey? Like you take the survey and say, hey, you think about next year, here's the
No,
thing.
the booking engine would still be there. Yeah, they could. They could.
Because impulsively, it's like, hey, I have a great time, I better get a room next year because it's gonna fill up.
Right.
And here's $10 off, here's $25 for a gift certificate if you book right now for next year. They may cancel, but still, you would at least
Incentivized.
incentivize them to do that.
I just want to say, Jonathan, I think that's a great idea, your participation at these outreach meetings when Kirk holds them in the east and the west. I also think it would be good to pull Ben Loudermilk from our redevelopment authority into this, and also be a participant in that, so that, because you're talking to school officials, they know what's going on the ground today. And I think it's important, for you and for Ben, for that matter, to hear from what's going on in our local communities and be current on where we have, holes in terms of business utilization or lack thereof of existing properties and so forth. So, and what they're thinking, there's a lot of times what happens too is these, businesses, they'll contact and get involved with the municipalities, before they'll get in touch with you or get in touch with them or anything like that. So if they get a project, they get a site, they will go right to. So I think it's a good two-way communication.
Yeah,
to keep
yeah.
going,
It is, I mean, to your point, when we were in Hampton Township yesterday, the municipality there made the point to say that a lot of times they don't, everyone thinks that they're first to know, sometimes they're last to know. So I think even sometimes we take it for granted thinking that they are aware of a project, and here they're not. So I think it's a good opportunity for, usually if someone's coming in the area, either if they've identified a site, then typically they're going to go to that municipality before they come to us. But vice versa, if they have not found a site but they know they want to be in the area, a lot of times they'll come to us first to then help us direct, for us to help direct them to a particular site. So one of the things that came up that I thought was interesting was, us providing an activity report to the municipalities as far as what types of projects are people looking to potentially bring to the area. What are their needs? If we lost it, what were some of the barriers? What were some of the reasons why? So therefore, they can take that intel back and hopefully improve upon whether it's zoning, infrastructure, whatever it may be, but at least that they know, what type of, leads are being generated and what kind of interest there is in the area. So I thought it was really well and had really good dialogue, and we want to continue to do that.
it doesn't need to be at every one of the planning outreach meetings, because Kirk also, there's other items on the plate there in terms of the agenda, but I think periodically, at least once or twice a year, I think it's good for both the redevelopment authority and the
We can
economic
definitely build
corporation.
a stronger linkage and system, for example, with our new website that we rolled out usually a year ago now, 6 months ago. We have a new tool, the site selection tool, which is pure marketing. If there's a piece of land or a property that is ready to be developed or ready for sale, it's important that we understand from the municipality perspective what their priorities are. We can't list everything that's for sale, but what are their top 3 or top 5 properties? And if they're not on the site selection tool, they're effectively not being marketed in the proper array of decision makers. So just even making that connection where the municipalities that do have land that needs to be, so it's ready for reuse, redevelopment, or new development, that they're aware that we need to be aware that that's their, in their top 10
Yeah,
list.
well, that's what drawing this together, hopefully we help one another.
Next slide, we did receive a letter, I guess from Larry, in regards to focus areas that the county deemed important moving forward through your grants program. So we just wanted to take a few minutes and an opportunity to discuss as far as some of our projects that we've been involved in to date, some projects that hopefully will be coming online here in 2015 and then rolling into 2016 as it relates to transportation and as it relates to workforce. So from a transportation perspective, and I attended a meeting yesterday at the planning office in regards to brainstorming about some of the different transportation challenges that exist throughout the county. And I was amazed at some of the challenges that exist. I mean, our focus is definitely from a workforce perspective and getting people from home to work and from work back to home. But there's a lot of other areas that came about in that meeting that I thought were excellent ideas as far as how do you get people to healthcare centers or to retail, to do shopping, or just to move around throughout the county. So I thought that was good. For us, infrastructure has been huge. It's a huge component of economic development. Without infrastructure, we don't have development. So we've worked on the Somerdale Transportation Project, which is in Enola. So that's a project that's moving along. We secured $3 million of multimodal transportation dollars for that. We have meetings later this month with both DCD and PennDOT to move that project along. Also the same with York and Trindle Road Connector Road, and that was a project that was brought about to help alleviate some of the traffic along 81, especially with our split interchanges and people cutting down neighborhood streets and side streets to get on either side of north and southbound on 81. And that's a pretty significant development project right across from Minneapolis, where they're looking at over 400 housing units. There's going to be some commercial retail and also some light manufacturing. So we see that area as an area where one of the key things we're looking at for 2016 is creating food innovation districts, where there are set establishments within certain municipalities with zoning, with incentives to be able to allow for our agribusiness kind of campaign. So there's a site there that we're working on with one of the developers that's in this project, and we think that will be a good pilot project and property to take a look at. Carlisle Airport, we're currently wrapping up our feasibility analysis there. I know there was one done several years ago in the midst of the recession, so we thought it'd be a great opportunity to take a look at that now. As we're coming out of that recession, you're looking at all modes of transportation, whether it's highway, whether it's air, whether it's rail, whether it's public transit. Interstate 81 is something that's been something that we continue to focus on as far as advocating for 6 lanes. I think as we continue to grow as a county, population-wise, business-wise, it's a lot of strain on 81, as we're all aware. So I think that's something that needs to continue to be top of mind for us. Down in Shippensburg area, exit 29 has been a transportation issue for them as far as the bridge capacity there at the East King Street exit. So we've held several stakeholder meetings down there in Shippensburg with some of the residents, the municipalities, and some of the business people down there about different funding that we could potentially take a look at to help down there at exit 29. And then the split interchanges, spoke a little bit about that. That will continue to be problematic as South Middleton, Middlesex, some of those townships right there continue to see more population growth. I think that will continually be a challenge there. And then also here in the borough, the urban redevelopment plan with reconnecting several of their streets here through the borough. So we're involved with that project as well. From a public transit perspective, really connecting workforce to business is something that's extremely important and extremely on our radar. We talked to a lot of the distribution facilities, a lot of the manufacturing facilities, different call centers, a lot of retailers that are here throughout the county. And when we ask them what are some of their major challenges, right away, public transportation comes to the forefront. And a lot of times, they're hiring either part-time workers, seasonal workers, and folks who are around minimum wage or a little higher. And transportation is the major barrier from getting them from their home to employment. And so we've started, and actually we'll hold a meeting tomorrow with the folks from CAT and the Carlisle Circulator around having a bus route go out an extra 2 miles from their current route to go out to the warehouse district, which we think will make a significant difference in allowing people who need to get to work, allow them that opportunity to be able to do so. I think there's still some other challenges there, but I think with the businesses that are on board, they're willing to put some investment into making that work. A lot of them are already running their own private buses, back and forth from Harrisburg or back and forth from the West Shore, Shippensburg, et cetera. So, I think there's some real options there, and I think it's something that needs to continue to be a focus, not only for our agency, but I think for the county as well.
Joe, did you connect with Mike Clapsaddle on that topic? The topic of CAT?
He was part of the dialogue between Kurt Stoner and I. I mean, we all have been chatting the last couple of weeks about this particular issue. So he's been included in the dialogue. I think he's a CAT rep for the county.
Yeah, thanks.
So yeah, he's been included.
And just, and actually I'm going to report on a little bit tomorrow in my liaison report, but as a member of the Critical Issues Committee, one of the things that I think came up where that, we have something in common with the people who live in Perry County and the people who live in the city of Harrisburg. In fact, we all share, I think, that in common. There are some folks, whether they're disabled, whether they're senior citizens, whether they're the working poor, who don't or are not able to have their own automobiles. So the issue is that it comes down to there are people in this entire region who depend on public transportation for their survival, to get to work, to get to the doctors, whatever it might be. So as we look to regional transit, I think that's something that we can probably all get around and agree on. Now the issue then becomes, all right, how do you also then encourage other folks to use public transit so we can reduce the congestion and so forth on our highways? But I think that's something where Jackie Parker from the city of Harrisburg brought that up, and I think that these are issues where I think we can all come together. But yeah, I mean, Mike and I were at that first critical issues discussion, and this is something where we all need to continue to collaborate on. We also need to keep our eyes on the possibility that CAT may not, be the entity in a couple of years down the road if we move forward with regional transit. But
The circulator's in what, second year now?
Second year.
Yeah. And that clock's ticking.
Yep.
And that was a 3-year pilot, so to speak. So that, hopefully the data's being collected and all to, see that through.
When you talk to a lot of the employers, they'll tell you that the bus routes do not run well with shift times.
Especially bus shifts.
Yeah, so I mean, CAT could at one point CAT did run out to Allen Road, and from what I understand, their drop-off time was 9 a.m. Well,
You missed it.
You missed it. I mean, if you're not there dropping them off at 7:30,
That's right.
7 o'clock,
So,
I mean, you missed that whole boat of people, and then you got that first wave of people getting off that first shift at like 3:30, 3 to 4 o'clock, but Cat is coming by at 2 o'clock. Well, no wonder you have no riders. You're not really meshing well with.
The good news is if they did extend the circulator route down there, I don't think they would have to worry about not having any empty seats.
Yes. Yeah.
There are private bus companies that are running 2 and 3 buses a day. For example, from Harrisburg to Amazon,
I know, I live out there.
2 or 3
So,
trips.
I mean,
you
I see
know,
them.
so-
Yeah. You're surprised at a lot of people walking along Route
I
11.
Yeah, more and more.
Because that's the only way that they're able to get to work.
That's a service that we have a right to expect mass transit to pay to provide, where that's what we're paying for. I mean, connecting commuters to the workplace is certainly part of their fundamental mission. If that works, getting that part in place, that should significantly enhance the circulator service, help them justify their existence to the community, maybe, as Larry said, fill some of those seats. Clock's ticking, we knew that whole system was gonna have to be tweaked as they go along, and this might be a major tweak that will allow them to really turn the corner, so to speak.
I think that, the drift that I have always sort of gotten is that the circulator was really banking on Dickinson College as, to provide a bunch, a big chunk, or at least a sufficient critical mass to make it a viable enterprise, and that just doesn't seem to work. Whereas if all they have to do is switch from a 9 o'clock drop-off time to, like once every 15 or 30 minutes, starting at 6:30, from 6:30 to 8, and then starting again from 2:30 to 4, and then even throw in something for the 11, the 10 or 11 o'clock shift. It's, I don't think it takes all that much creativity to figure that out. It's, you see people walking those together, on the bus.
Some of these things do seem like they should have been built into the process all along the way. I don't think Dickinson restricts students from bringing personal cars. I mean, the schools used to do that regularly, at least for freshmen and sometimes sophomores. But I think they have plenty of other transportation options available to them. The school doesn't restrict it, that people are going to bring cars. They don't need the bus. Why? The bus is not as convenient as hopping in and go on your own vehicles.
This is also the reason why, there was that additional leg of service, and I haven't heard legally as to how it's, whether it's being used or how it's been promoted, but that was, the other reason for this, the additional leg of service from, Summerdale to the new technology parkway out there within Hampton Township. The same thing was to get people to those employment centers. So, this is something that constantly, has to be looked at, has to be tweaked, I think, Gary's right, in terms of, there's a demand here with respect to the warehouses now that are located with respect to employment. And, people need to be able to get to those places and get home. So, and of course, the other thing too we have going for us, which we really have not utilized that much, I don't believe here in this county, but that's the South Central or commuter services, program that's available. And they just reported hacks, like they have folks now that have signed up. I think they got 96 new people that just recently signed up to take advantage of the emergency ride home part. That was always the impediment to essentially the carpool. Was, well, how do I get home? And they've got a setup now where
They pay.
Yeah,
It was up to $100 6
yeah.
times a year.
Exactly.
To pay your
So,
reimbursement.
That's another alternative that people really ought to think about.
They've had that for quite a while, actually, from the beginning. At one point, we had a program started here that was to be a ride matching program for county employees to try to encourage some. Do we know whatever happened to that? It seems to have fallen off.
We had a representative from South Central at the meeting yesterday,
Okay.
and they talked about their stuff. They didn't mention that. I suspect, I'll have a call to see if that's still,
Just to know that,
like,
if it didn't work, or if it,
yeah.
was a bad fit, or people just didn't market it correctly.
I think we ought to put a link for that and promote that. Put a link right on our county website, and if we encourage our employees here to take advantage of that or consider it, at least.
Well, that may have also been part of what a full taxi service was available too. And that sort of has worked, not worked. There's been, you know, some companies come in, others leave.
We now have
Whatever.
Uber in the county, believe it or not.
I passed out yesterday,
I
the
was-
second time.
Yeah.
The
I was
cameras
out
on
at
top.
Williams Grove a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago for an event,
Yeah.
and a gentleman had
Yeah.
was here on business, staying at where the hotel's off the pike,
Right.
and he took Uber to get to
Yeah.
his
That's an
Friday night
opportunity.
activity.
Right.
Yeah, Commuter Services of Pennsylvania is the name of it. And they have a new director too. Actually, it might be good at some point if we could maybe arrange to have him come in to make a presentation to the board at one of our meetings, maybe a workshop.
I think some of it is marketing, and I mentioned this yesterday at the meeting. I think, someone asked me the other day where they could pick up the next cat bus route as I was walking through town, and I had no idea myself as far as, where to go, or the timing, or if you go to any other major city, and you ask someone, how do I get from point A to point B, they'll direct you to how to use public transit to be able to do it. I think some of it's education, some of it's marketing. With Cumberland Technology Park, the driver there was when Highmark sold their call center division. They used to be in Senate Plaza, and they ended up moving out to Cumberland Park, and that was before the hospital came. That they just assumed public transit ran out there, and at that time it did not. So I think, working with CAP to understand where are your routes, are your routes updated, or do they need to be tweaked, or I don't know how you go about that entire process on a comprehensive. The way we've done it now is an employer comes and they can make a big enough case, then we get CAP to listen to it.
Yeah.
But we're kind of being reactive instead of being
Proactive. I left a meeting at the hospital at 1 o'clock, and a huge cat bus was at the hospital. So now, is that routinely there at 1 o'clock? I'm not real sure, and I could not have told someone,
Yeah.
yes, in 30 minutes, another bus will come because you
Correct.
missed this one. Or in an hour, another one will come. Should I have known that? Probably, but I didn't.
Or is that the only one that
Or is that,
Yeah.
and you talk about shifts, and there are those who are working at the hospital that may in fact not have personal transportation either. So, and they are there all night long. So you might be able to get to the hospital, but you might not be able to get home from the hospital. So, let alone those who would need that for services provided in the hospital, or simply visiting somebody who is in the hospital.
I've seen in a number of major cities a couple of things that make sense. In DC and in Denver, you have fixed route transportation with regularly scheduled stops and times and all that stuff that people can use to go to work or for pre-structured things. And then you have these sort of supplemental casual stuff where they go along major either tourist attraction or retail.
Kind of a hop on, hop off.
Yes, exactly.
Sure.
And that's, you know that
Yeah.
you're gonna be there every 10, 15 minutes.
Right.
But you also, if you're going to work, you need to know that there's gonna be
Right.
a go to here. Also, if you travel around DC over the last 10 or 15 years, in that whole metropolitan area, there is a completely informal structure where in various low-income neighborhoods, at assigned times and assigned places, religiously, every day, people gather to be picked up for day work. And, it's this informal sort of subterranean thing, but it's, anybody who's in a car can see exactly where it is and know where the times are. And I think you have something similar here. You have people who go out to those jobs and those relatively low-income paying jobs that are probably concentrated in certain neighborhoods, more so than others. You all pretty much face the same task. How do I get from where I am at my assigned time so I can make it to my job without getting into trouble? And I think anybody who's planning out bus routes would want to plug into that.
And a lot of them are going the private route. I mean, Amazon's a great example. They set up an office in Harrisburg, and they do a lot of recruiting out of the Allison Hill neighborhoods. And they have scheduled pickups and drop-offs because there's a critical mass of people who need to get to employment. Here in the borough, the same way. They have a few stops here in the borough where they go into certain neighborhoods, and it's a group of folks who need to get to employment centers, and that's how they're doing it. So I don't know if there's a way, and part of what we want to look at in 2016 is there a way to kind of bring all this together in a way that would make making sense in a proactive manner.
Will they still provide service to Ross stores? That was Ross stores, their warehouse. So that was being done here
Yeah.
many moons ago.
And they'll be at the meeting tomorrow as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Ross and Amazon, Salvation Army, there's a few other nonprofit, service-related groups, commuter services. He's gonna come tomorrow as a result of our conversations yesterday, so, I think it's just in the early planning stages of thinking about it more holistically.
Your time frame in mind for, I mean, given that the circulator's on the 3-year.
Sure.
time.
I think a lot of it will rely and depend on, I think, support from the county, and I think, you know, CAT, or whoever the regional transit body is moving forward, wanting to address the problem. So, I hope in the next year, I don't think this is
Well,
too
I mean,
difficult, but.
one of the, the ideas with the regional transit too is, it's not gonna stop at the county border.
Yeah.
You could maybe get a bus, from York County and you could go to Carlisle, you could go to Harrisburg. I mean, that's the reason why we're looking at this, not just to save money, which is a big part of it, but also how can we actually improve transit service in the entire
More
region?
access.
Because Amazon is a taxpayer, and we pay over $300,000 a year, well, more or less, to CAT to provide transportation services. So I would think that every taxpayer, whether it's, a company or whether it's an individual resident, would want to get their money's worth out of that money we pay.
Lynn Chocolate, a new facility,
Yeah.
but they're having the same issue, so they'll be at a meeting tomorrow, but I think a lot of these places just assumed that there's so much warehouse that there has to be public transit, and then they
Yeah.
come and then they realize, and they're like, wow, there isn't.
Well, not only that, but there's a big warehouse full of chocolate. I mean, why would we?
Why would you not want to go to work?
That's right. Samples. But even within the medical community,
Yeah.
sort of that opportunity that, your doctor may be in one facility, but you need imaging somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so how do you get there?
Yeah.
And, that whole consortium of, great services that we have here, could be limiting simply because you can't get there.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I would like to continue the dialogue, to a certain extent, we're following Kirk's and Mike's, perhaps that was the lead, as far as how do we proceed forward, but it's definitely something that we want to continue to press the issue. Second piece of it is workforce development, so research and development. So one of the things that we've done is we've started to work with the WIB to identify some key occupations where we see that there is a demand for employment, but there seems to be a lack of qualified employees. So we've worked with the Department of Ag. They've hired a workforce development project coordinator. It's a new position. Scott Shilley, he used to run the Lancaster WIB, so now he's with the Department of Ag. So he was able to get us some information, not only in occupations as it pertains to agriculture, but also across the board in some of the manufacturing fields. So people who are operating heavy equipment, but then also the people who are the technicians on that equipment as well. We've looked at some trades, so the need for additional welders, plumbers, some of those other occupations that are in high demand, but we just don't have enough, bodies to fill some of the positions. And we're starting to initially just work with HAC. We'll bring in our other educational partners as well as we move forward with identifying different programs that we can offer that would kind of be a pathway for someone. And Larry and I spoke a little bit about it yesterday, but it's almost creating a career.
What about
for an
VOTEC?
individual.
Are they in the conversation?
VOTEC as well, so we have representation on the Cumberland, Perry, and then also in Carlisle with their advisory boards. So we're plugged in there with them at that level, at that K through 12 kind of level. And I think a lot of it is education, educating parents on these are good paying jobs. When we were just at Cumberland, Perry the other day, some of their most recent graduates were coming out and they were making $50,000. Getting into welding or getting into, equipment operator or getting into one of the trade fields, you know, a lot of their graduates are coming right out of college, zero debt, and they're making a very sustainable, high-paying job for an 18-year-old getting out of high school. So I think a little bit of it is educating on where are the jobs. These are good jobs, they're sustainable jobs, they're not going anywhere. Then also on the more advanced manufacturing training type of job, making sure that we're putting people through pathways. What we've seen through some of the research is that typically if you have an employee who just say is a certified forklift driver, typically they have the skill sets to be a construction heavy equipment operator. They typically would be able to, with advanced training and degree, be able to, you know, operate manufacturing equipment in some of our, you know, manufacturing plants. And then also, you know, kind of the last leg of that is technician, which is then being able to work on the equipment as it goes down. So we're working with HAC and our VOTEX and our other, you know, four-year colleges and institutions with creating some of those programs. I know most recently at Shippensburg, they've created an engineering program, which was in response to not only Volvo, but PPG and Carlisle Construction Material, as you know, they really made a pitch to say we need more engineers. We have a lack of engineers in the region, so I think Shippensburg, you know, was responsive in creating this program over the last 3 or 4 years. So we'll continue to work with the public sector, I mean not the public sector, but the private sector. We'll continue to work with the educational community to make sure where here in our region where we see there's some deficiencies or there's going to be needs in the future, that we have the curriculums, we have K through 12, and then pass that to make sure that they're connected.
And Central Penn's been very responsive to it.
Yes, Central Penn.
They have been a
Central Penn has a new banking program.
Exactly, they do, because the banking industry came to them and said,
Yeah.
this is what we need. And they were flexible, they were responsive. It did not take 5 years,
Right.
400 studies. They responded.
Yeah.
And that is a very, very significant success story right here in Cumberland County.
And Central Penn, I mean, has that history because the Central Penn Business School, now it's Central Penn College, they always were, career focused in terms of, let's produce graduates here that are going to actually get a job tomorrow. Now, the other thing we need to do is stay in touch. Barb mentioned VOTEC, now Central Penn. Also the PAC. I mean, I don't know exactly where they are, but we need to stay in close communication with their.
Yeah, we're actually working with them on putting together an advanced manufacturing program. So again, it's starting from that forklift driver, or actually, a lot of manufacturing facilities, they call them pickers, the people that, if you look at World and Earth. So starting at that level, and then again, going all the way up to the technician, how do you create that career path for someone to actually have a career and not be stuck in one job, for 40 years? How do you move them along? So that's the program that we're actually starting with HAC. We were involved with Central Penn with the banking. When I started in banking 15 years ago, it was all done in-house. And those were when times were better. Banks had a lot more money, so they could train you in-house. They cannot do that anymore. They can't endure that cost.
But you use shells then, right?
So
he was rolling pennies back.
Yeah. So that's some of our workforce issues. So we'll continue to focus on that. We'll continue to do business retention outreach. So we have a list of different questions that we ask employers when we do outreach, and though they're all tied to our industry clusters and also our top employers. So we're asking them certain questions. How's public transit? Do you have any workforce issues? Do you have any funding or financing concerns? What changes are happening in your industry that may impact us? So we'll continue to do that. We have a manager who oversees that. And then the Cumberland, New York area local defense group. So we're continuing to support our 3 military installations. We had hoped to start our analysis and study on a joint land use study, which would take a look at all 3 installations, what excess land, buildings, square footage are available, and how could you best utilize that space, whether it's military related, or maybe it's a private sector business who comes in and leases space, And then also, I think a big part of that is, how do we prepare ourselves, and what is the plan B if we do lose one of our military installations? How could those installations be repurposed?
Have you seen the Presidio?
Yeah.
Or studied the Presidio? They've done it pretty well.
Okay. Yeah, so.
I would just throw that out.
Okay. I know Michael Baker's who we hired. We hired them because they have a lot of experience with that, working with bases to attract more, retain, but then also, if you had to repurpose, what could you potentially do? The one that's most vulnerable at the moment is the War College. They're in the midst of needing a new root hall, which is their main facility there. And so, they're going through the process of putting that ask out back to the Department of Defense to see if they can get it in the funding cycle. And we think that will give us a good indication of where the War College stands with the Army and with the Department of Defense moving forward. So we just as a community need to be prepared for the best case scenario, but then also the worst case scenario. That may mean to repurpose one of our installations. So we'll continue to work there. And then marketing.
So you recall about this time last year, we hired a firm by the name of Atlas Advertising out of Denver, Colorado. So they have been our ad agency starting in 2015. It's a 3-year commitment, so we are nearing the end of year 1 with them. We effectively, the first part of the year was start up and set up, getting ready for the campaigns. And I wanted to just take a moment and show you some of the creative. This is for destination marketing, so banner ads, billboards, some print ads. We continue to migrate from print to more digital media. That's where it's at. We're those obtrusive ads that once you log into something that we care about, where we've profiled you, that you must want to come to somewhere in Cumberland. You fit a profile, then you're going to continue to see our ads, and they will chase you and hunt you forever. Forever.
Ever.
So,
Anybody else?
don't feel bad. They haunt me. Our ads haunt me myself, and I live here. So it's just it works. It
Anybody
works.
else trying to steal our logo?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. They tried, but yeah, we're good there right now. So this is just an example of some of the creative that you may see. From a destination marketing performance measurement perspective, the current campaign, what we call the summer campaign, ran May through August. And as compared to last May through August, we are doing very well. One of the measures that we use is revenue per room. How many more rooms are we renting and how much of a higher rate are we getting for them? That's one of many, many measures. But based on just comparison of, we set a goal at the beginning of the year for this new campaign, and the goal was based on what we were used to experiencing in prior years. Each year looking to grow that goal. And so we set a goal of desktop visits for this period of time with 110,000, and we actually realized much more than that, 128,000. So this just kind of gives you an idea of the types of measures, and these are some of the basic measures among hundreds of others that we use based on goals and metrics. Revenue per room rented for this period last year was $6.93 a room. That was the average rate per room that was rented or occupied. This cycle, tied to this ad campaign, we're realizing a $67 rate. So we're doing real good on the campaign's performance. Hotel stats, just some basic. This is as of July, so a little dated because that's how far behind some of the data is. But we have 47 hotels, about 4,200 rooms. We're experiencing a 75% occupancy. Our average daily rate is $94, and that's a 3% increase over last year. Revenue per room is up over last year's July year to date, and room revenue is up. So we're experiencing nice growth.
Your average rate, is that for the month of July, year
Yes.
over year? Okay,
Yes.
since the rates.
Since the rates, yeah.
So when you say hotels at 47, including bed and breakfast, including a motel,
Yes. Anybody that's
Sort of.
running rooms
anybody that's renting rooms that you know of,
that we know of.
as far as a bed and breakfast or whatever?
Yes.
Okay.
This is also a little outdated, but we subscribe to a service, and we know, anecdotally where our hotels are, the new ones that are coming online. But we had 2 in construction. One of those that was in construction, about 100 rooms, is the Marriott down in Shippensburg.
Right, the courtyard.
They're having their grand
Friday,
opening
yeah.
tomorrow.
No.
I'm sorry, Friday.
Yeah,
Yes,
better be Friday.
Friday at 10:30.
What about campgrounds?
Campgrounds
You
are
track-
not in
you
this.
don't track
They don't
any-
collect and they
They
don't
don't-
pay tax at the
No.
moment.
Okay.
No.
I mean, the property pays taxes as far as a business,
Yes.
but
But not
you're not
the
collecting any campground information. Okay.
So they pay hotel
They
tax.
pay no hotel tax.
No, the B&Bs do not pay hotel tax.
Yes,
Yes, they do.
That's-
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. We have one in what we would call planning, and that's the Holiday Inn Express that's going over in Shady Lane, leading towards the kitchen shop. It's right adjacent to the kitchen shop.
The one right across the street from the other.
Yeah, sort of, just
Yeah.
it's down the lane.
It's down the lane,
Down the
but
lane.
it is off of
Yes.
11 right there.
Yes, yes. So we're looking at 2 additional hotels in Shippensburg, which is much needed, of which one is already open and bookings are going well.
Any renovation on the Radisson at all?
They continue to renovate internally, but
Okay.
it's still.
We're back to
nice.
Shady Lane for a minute. You're not talking Shady Lane in East Bedford Township.
No, 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 no,
Shady
no.
Lane, Carlisle,
Yeah, by the Haas's.
yes. You know where
Right back
Haas's
there,
is?
by the-
That
Yes,
street,
shop
that runs
there.
right by
We're
All Holds.
all-
Right, runs
Yeah.
right down All Holds.
But the new one, newest
It's
one,
just-
is immediately right there.
Yes.
But when you're on the turnpike, now suddenly that buffer of what were those rooms and that wall is significantly less with that construction of the turnpike.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I'm on it frequently,
Yeah.
that encroachment is pretty close there.
It's less than 100 feet. That's
I
pretty
mean,
close.
seriously.
Okay.
Yeah, you're literally at.
I mean, it was close,
Don't open your.
but like right now, it is right there, so.
That's a Comfort Inn, right? Comfort Inn.
No.
No, it's a
No,
Holiday
it's
Inn.
a
I
Holiday.
mean the new one, coming across the.
Yes, I'm
That's
sorry,
a
did I
Holiday
say
Inn.
Holiday?
You said Holiday Inn, that's why I was so surprised.
Holiday Inn is the one in
Holiday
Shippensburg.
Express is the one in Shippensburg.
Yeah,
It's under construction
It's
now.
under construction.
Right,
Right,
okay.
King's-
Yeah.
Comfort Inn Suites is gonna be the new one on.
On Shady Lane.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
And the Empress is still there.
That's 80 rooms, yes.
Everybody's still there.
Okay.
Last year, we, for the first time, started to market our services, our operation as KDIC and our services to the community. So with agribusiness being a focus area for us, we are advertising our services through the lens of agribusiness. That this is a good place to come and set up shop. So this is some of the creative that is running from online banner ads. If you look on the Sentinel or Central Business Journal, you know, these ads are running there. They're running in publications outside of our marketplace based on profile. And then this is a center spread print piece that's sort of highlighting success stories of reasons why you would want to relocate and expand here. From an attraction perspective, again, agribusiness as a focal point, same creative focus on agribusiness with a map showing where we are in relation to the 10-hour drive market. Metrics for this type of advertising. And again, remember that our business website is fairly new. And it was underutilized and not managed well in past years. And so we're now just gearing up into really managing this website with keeping it updated and relevant with good content. So desktop sessions are, we set a goal, 3750 or up to 5878 for this period while these ads were running. We're exceeding our new users. We are exceeding conversations. We had set an annual goal of 1,145 conversations, meaning contacts because of our ads leading people to our website, generating an inquiry or question. And so we're already not even through the year, and we're I think well pacing to exceed the goal.
Have you seen in print any follow-up from the consortium of folks that came in at lunch at Dickinson, went out to the farm, and did any of that? That's been about 12 months now. So, okay.
We have reached out to them,
Okay.
and we continue on quarterly, but
Nothing.
not yet.
Okay.
And last but not least, I want to invite you to our tourism conference. It's going to be held at Linwood Estate. It's a relatively new venue. It's a beautiful, beautiful venue. Theme is storytelling. Like most years, we'll start with a breakfast. It'll be in the barn party hall area. And we'll be announcing the partner of the year. We'll be announcing the grant recipients. We did just award $100,000 of grants to our applicants that were lucky enough to be awarded. So we'll make those announcements there. And we have Best in the Valley winners and then our partner of the year. So storytelling is the theme. Storytelling is an important part of tourism promotion. You've got to be able to tell a story, and a story can be something as simple as a retailer's window and how they are creating an invitation for buyers to open the door and come in, to a restaurant's menu, to a tour guide knowing how to tell a story that will make that experience beneficial for the traveler. So please come. That's it.
Any questions? Any comments?
Just two things. Number one, I think it's great that you guys finished that section for the planning document. I think it gives you an anchor to something rather than being a reality point, which I know is important, to sort of be able to sort of plot progress and of course in conjunction with other resources in the town. So I think congratulations for that. Second thing is I'm looking forward to working with you guys as part of this community support program. And I think it's good that those our activities collectively overlap. It's good.
Thank you.
Just echo what Larry said about the planning process. I think that not only gives you a strong basis, it was a very robust process. It was very interesting seeing board members really devote a lot of energy and time to it to make sure it was the best process and product possible. I think you really engaged some board members there to a degree that we really haven't been able to in the past. And some folks really stepped up and surprisingly engaged in that. And I would like to see us continue to drive a bit more of that deep responsibility away from just the executive committee and make it board-wide and really start utilizing the talent that we have on that board in the manner that this process did.
Frankly, there's too much work to do. We need just 5 people. We need not even just our board, but that's why we enlisted the support of liaisons and anybody that we can lasso in to help us through this process.
Well, I want to particularly thank Mary and the other members of the staff who really put it all together, and, you know, it's a good outline, but it's, you know, I think a lot of work, like Gary said, went into it, and I congratulate you for where we are at this point.
I think it's important, I mean, you know, we were asked by one of the media outlets as far as, the county's done great, why do you need a plan? Was kind of the question, and, you know, I think it's important, you know, we are doing well, we are a healthy, vibrant economy, but I think that's when you need a plan the most, is when it's not an emotional driver, you're doing it in a strategic, thoughtful way, and I think that we were able to capture, hopefully, something that will guide us, you know, moving forward as we continue to grow as a county. So,
Yeah, Jonathan, you made a good point early on. You said that the number one priority is to increase the commercial and industrial tax base in a smart way. And now it's up to us to determine what smart way is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.